All right, on to number 2 for the day. So this is going to be Biconomy. And so we've got Chirag Titiya, who is one of their blockchain engineers. And so Biconomy makes it easier for end users to interact with dApps. And so I'm excited to have you show kind of what's running today on Moonbase Alpha. So I'll have you take it away.
Hi everyone, thank you all for joining. Thank you Nate and Moonbeam team for letting me have this stage. My name is Chirag Titiya. I am a platform engineer and blockchain researcher at Biconomy. So what Biconomy does is it's basically a multi-chain platform or layer for interacting, or like the transaction layer for all of your dApps. So let me just get started with the presentation. So today's this workshop is going to be about it's going to be technical and about the integration of Biconomy on Moonbeam. So how to leverage Biconomy to create simplified user experiences on Moonbeam, and you can pretty much do on like multiple different chains. So I just want to get started with talking a bit about like the usability in blockchain, and then we'll gradually move to like talking a bit about interoperability, Moonbeam, what we are doing at Biconomy, why we chose Moonbeam, and then I'll end up with the technical demo. So these are some stats about like the state of Ethereum and DeFi since like the last summer. We see that the transactions volumes have been increasing. There is a large amount of interest from like the new users, crypto savvy users, and something still remains big challenges like scalability, and for which we already have like layer 2s, layer 1.5, and the multi-chain stuff. For usability, there are like some barriers which I'm going to soon talk about, and similarly, so there is an interoperability challenge as well when you are going to like make swaps with multiple other assets or value transfer across chains, moving between layer 1 and layer 2. So all of these problems are they need to be solved. So these are some insights on the usability, where the current challenges are like the end users need to pay gas to interact with any dApp. And let's say if I do not have ETH and I want to interact just by transferring any tokens, or I want to like participate in a liquidity pool, so this becomes a barrier for some users, that I need to make this entire like round trip to buy ETH from the exchange. So for that, like we have a solution with meta-transaction APIs, where end user is just going to sign the signatures and your transaction is done. But that's just not it. Apart from that, there are several other challenges. Like if you as an end user, you would have experienced that in MetaMask, you need to set up the correct gas price, and the users are not sure whether I should set it high or low. And if I set it high, then like you also lose some amount of ETH that you could have saved. And then there are issues with the pending and stuck transactions, and like I said, like the layer 1 and layer 2 interactions, which by which I mean like exiting from any layer 2 chain and moving funds back to layer 2 takes like whole amount of time. So these are some usability challenges which are being solved by us as Biconomy. So this is just an infographic or the image which like depicts, like let's say you want to interact with like several dApps. You can be on any blockchain network, but these are going to be barriers. Like at every step you need to stop and pay for the gas and like have these complex interactions. So these frictions are being solved, and the idea is like moving within the Web3 stack, how do you provide user experiences of Web2? So all of these services which exist in the Web2 space, if you imagine sort of an architecture which works with Web3, and it gives the same user experience. So that's a goal to achieve. In here, so there have been some improvements since like early 2018 in terms of like there are big hexadecimal addresses and wallets. So that has been replaced by ENS now, where you can just like say give out your domain to someone and they are able to send you ETH or any currency. So similarly, then there are like some wallets which have made it possible to interact with from the mobile. So initially it didn't used to be like that, like you need a browser, you need to use MetaMask, and these problems are being solved gradually by Fortmatic or Wallet Connect, which sort of makes these user authentication better experience. So that's the idea for, and these are like some of the steps. So the whole rationale behind this is to, delight the crypto savvy users, and also for like the users who are entering the market, how do you reduce the friction for them? And as a Biconomy, you can use this as a transaction layer for any dApps. And apart from that, like you can make this accessible, or just imagine like the user is just signing the messages, and then these messages are being passed around without having like too complex interactions. So that will definitely increase the user onboarding for any application. So these are some of the goals, and in as a summary, this is what we have been doing at Biconomy. There's a transaction infrastructure for all of these applications, which makes the user experience very simplified. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Moonbeam. The reason of choosing Moonbeam as like one of our services or the new integrations to provide these meta transactions or the better user experiences. And as from my personal experience, is if you are an Ethereum developer, it's not going to make any change in terms of like your learning curve. If you want to like move to Moonbeam, and it's like a quick on ramp to the Polkadot ecosystem. So these are going to be like very like beneficial steps. And apart from that, another reason is like there are big infrastructure projects like Chainlink, Graph Protocol are developing on Moonbeam network, and we as an infrastructure project wanted to make sure that we give this services on Moonbeam, where the end users or for the developers, it is like just few lines of codes or less amount of clicks to interact with any DApp. So that's the idea. And in terms of how to integrate Biconomy, I'm going to run through a demo. So the idea is there are like only 3 simple steps, where first step is like once you have deployed your contract on Moonbeam, and then you need to like inherit a certain contract and make your contract meta transaction compliant. So that's the first step. And then there is a dashboard where you can go and register your artifacts. This is a one-time thing where you register your contract and the end method that you need to call to enable these transaction APIs. And then you need to make the client side changes by importing SDK, or you can directly call the APIs once you are like on the dashboard and you have registered these artifacts. So that's the idea. And these are like some of the problems which I already talked about for the end user. And we have a very robust relayer infrastructure, which solves or addresses all of these different problems, like the auto funding of relayers, and also making sure that like no transactions are pending, and how to pick up the pending transactions and send it with a bumped up gas price. How do you optimize gas for like various transactions? So all of these are taken care of under the hood. So for end user, you can be certain that your transaction will go through at the most optimized price. So that's the idea, and these are like some of the features. In like future workshops, I can talk a little bit more in like technical depth about like how the relayer infrastructure is built, what is the path to like progressive decentralization for this. So these are like some of the steps that like you can follow. And sweet. So I'll just get started with the demo. I believe we have 8 minutes. All right, so I have a simple DApp, which basically just has a very simple smart contract. For the demo purpose, it will just update a code on it just updates a storage variable in a smart contract. And for this contract, like I mentioned that this particular contract is inherited just to enable the meta transaction. So instead of like message.sender in my smart contract, I'm going to use message sender, and this solves this does the job of identifying whether it is coming from a relayer or from an end user. So once I have like made these changes in a contract for Moonbeam, it is super easy that you can use Remix, any tools that you have been using, Hardhat, Truffle, and you just redeploy your contract. So I have deployed this contract here on Moonbeam Alpha testnet, and now I'm going to show the particular user interaction with this. So as I mentioned, these are my contract artifacts here. There's a contract address and the API key. Once you register on the dashboard, you get the API key. So after the contract are redeployed, the next step is to go to the dashboard and register your DApp. So here I can create or register a DApp. Network, I can select this Moonbeam testnet. And once it is created, you can go and just upload your smart contracts here. There are lot many other features which this is like the developer facing, so you can monitor the stats of your DApp, like how many users are coming. If you want to create rate limits for users or the transaction limits, you can set them here. You can see the stats here, and these are the steps to enable meta transactions on any new contracts. So I just register a smart contract name, and I give the address and the ABI, and then I need to select the meta transaction type. And here we also have some other offerings which allows you to use like more generic way to forward your transaction to the recipient. And there's one more feature where you can like pay in stable coins in like some of the layer 1 networks. So I have already registered these contracts. And once you register the contract, you need to register the API for the end method that you need to call. So this is the smart contract. I call it Moon Codes, and this is the method that you would be registering. So once it is registered, it becomes an API, and you can directly make an API call, and user can just sign the transactions, or you can do this from the backend as well. So more information on this, you can find it in the docs. So we are all set here in terms of the second step, the dashboard registrations. And the final step is to just, have the copy your API key from the dashboard and create a Web3 instance that, you can use any JSON RPC provider on the window.ethereum. Here I'm using the RPC of the testnet Moonbeam network. And then I just need to import Biconomy from our SDK. And once you have done this steps, then you just initialize Biconomy and update your Web3 instance with the Biconomy instance. And once you have done this, you're all set to send out the transaction. So when I create my contract object, I'm going to use this updated version of Web3, which uses Biconomy, and this does the job for you internally. So under the hood, it basically intercepts the transaction and sends out. So these are the steps. Let me quickly show you the demo. And after that, you can just, so I'm just going to set a new code here. Say, so for an end user, I just need to sign the signature, and I do not need to spend any tokens. So this will be sponsored by the DApp end. So it's the relayer that's actually paying for this transaction. And you can see the hash here on the blockchain explorer, and it's going to update the code once the transaction is confirmed. So that's the idea, that it goes from the relayer. So here was a quick demo on how do we implement the meta transactions, and the use cases are unlimited. So you can just, like, for any questions, you can pop up to the Discord server or Moonbeam or Biconomy, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for presenting. Great job. And next up will be Chainlink.